On a freezing Tuesday morning, my son threw a suitcase on my porch and told me it was time for a nursing home. He thought because I wore thrift store clothes I was helpless. He didn't know I had secretly placed the deed in a blind trust 3 years earlier. By the end of this video, you'll learn exactly how I dismantled his life, and I'll give you the exact living trust workflow to secure your own property. My name is Clara. I am 65 years old. If you are watching this from somewhere across the miles, leave your state or country in the comments below. I want to see how far the truth travels today, and I need you to stay with me until the very end, because this isn't just a story about family betrayal. It is a masterclass in protecting everything you have ever worked for. It was November 12th, exactly 7:14 in the morning. The coffee percolator had just finished its cycle. My son, Mark, and his wife, Jessica, walked into my kitchen. Mark wasn't carrying his usual travel mug. He was carrying a box of heavy-duty black contractor trash bags. He dropped them on my kitchen island, the island his father and I built in 1992. Jessica stood behind him, sipping an artisanal matcha latte that cost $8, wearing a matching athleisure set that cost $300. Mark looked at me and said, "Mom, the movers will be here tomorrow. We've secured you a room at Sunset Valley Care. You need to start bagging up whatever fits in a 10 by 10 space. This house is ours now." Let me stop right here and ask you a question. Have you ever looked at the person you gave birth to, the person you sacrificed your youth for, and realized you were staring at a complete stranger? If you have, hit the like button right now. You are not alone. I didn't yell, I didn't cry, I didn't beg him to remember that I was his mother. I simply reached past the box of trash bags, poured my black coffee into my ceramic mug, and said, "I understand. Give me 24 hours." They looked at each other, smug and relieved. They thought my silence was surrender. They mistook my calmness for fragility. What they didn't comprehend was that a woman who has survived what I have survived does not surrender. She calculates. To understand their absolute arrogance, you have to understand the foundation of calluses this family was built on. For 32 years, I worked the graveyard shift at a corrugated packaging plant. From 11 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock a.m., I managed heavy machinery so that I could be home to put Mark on the school bus, sleep for 5 hours, and be awake when he got home. When my husband died 15 years ago, he left behind medical debt that could have crushed me. I didn't declare bankruptcy. I worked overtime. I paid off every cent. I paid for Mark's out-of-state university tuition in cash so he would never know the weight of a student loan. I drove a 15-year-old sedan. I clipped coupons. I bought my clothes from consignment shops. Mark grew up, got a high-paying job in corporate logistics, married Jessica, and assumed my modest lifestyle meant I was broke. Let's do a quick recap of the invisible labor trap. When you make sacrifice look effortless, entitled people assume it costs you nothing. They look at your frugality and see poverty instead of seeing the discipline that builds hidden empires. 2 years ago, Mark lost his corporate job. He and Jessica were drowning in the lifestyle they couldn't afford. The leased luxury SUVs, the purebred French bulldogs, the constant vacations. They came to me, tears in their eyes, asking if they could move into my 4-bedroom home just for 6 months to get back on their feet. I opened my door. That was the Trojan horse. Within a month, Jessica had taken over the master bathroom because the lighting was better for her social media posts. Mark started complaining about the property taxes, telling me the house was becoming a burden on me. They started taking over the narrative of my life, treating me like a tenant in the home I owned free and clear. But the real turning point happened on a Thursday night. I had set up an old audio baby monitor in the living room because my senior rescue dog had been having seizures, and I needed to hear if he woke up distressed in the night. It was 1 a.m. I woke up to voices coming through the monitor receiver on my nightstand. It wasn't the dog, it was Mark and Jessica sitting in my living room drinking my wine. Jessica's voice was crystal clear. "We can't wait anymore, Mark. The market is peaking. This house is worth 800,000. If we get her declared incompetent, we can take over the estate, sell this place, and buy that property in the Palisades. And my son, the boy I had worked graveyard shifts for, replied, I know. I've already talked to a doctor who does capacity evaluations. We just need to stress her out enough that she seems confused during the assessment. Once she's in a facility, the equity is ours. My heart didn't break that night. It turned to absolute ice. They weren't just trying to move me out, they were trying to erase my legal autonomy. They wanted to steal my freedom. Let me give you a mini example of how this works. Predators, even family members, use a strategy called manufactured incompetence. They isolate you, stress you out, gaslight you about your memory, and then immediately march you to a sympathetic doctor or lawyer to seize power of attorney. Once they have that piece of paper, your assets belong to them. The next morning, I didn't say a word. I made them breakfast. I smiled. And the moment they left the house, I drove straight to the offices of Sterling and Vance, the most ruthless estate planning attorneys in the county. I brought my financial portfolio. You see, Mark and Jessica thought I was a poor widow. They didn't know that my 32 years of frugal living and aggressive investing had compounded. They didn't know my net worth was north of $2.5 million. I sat down with the senior partner and we built a fortress. We executed an irrevocable living trust. I transferred the deed of the house, all my investment accounts, and my liquid cash directly into the trust. I appointed a neutral third party fiduciary as my co trustee. In the eyes of the law, Clara no longer owned that house. The trust owned it, and the trust charter explicitly stated that any individual attempting to claim I lacked capacity would automatically be barred from ever inheriting a single dime. I also had my attorney draft a formal 30-day notice to quit and eviction notice for Mark and Jessica, but I didn't serve it, not yet. I kept it in my purse, waiting for them to make their move. I wanted them to show their entire hand. Pause this video right now. Do you know exactly whose names are on your property deed? Are you holding it in joint tenancy with a child who could force a sale? If you don't know, look it up in your county public records today. Do not wait for a crisis to understand your vulnerabilities, which brings us back to that freezing Tuesday morning. The morning my son handed me a box of trash bags and told me to pack for the nursing home. I had asked for 24 hours. At 6 p.m. that evening, they returned from a day of shopping. They walked into the kitchen, expecting to see me boxing up my life. Instead, they found me sitting at the kitchen island wearing my best tailored suit. My attorney, Mr. Vance, was sitting right beside me. Mark stopped in his tracks. Jessica's shopping bag slipped from her hands. Mom, who is this? Mark asked, his voice suddenly losing its arrogant edge. Mr. Vance stood up. I am the legal representative for the Clara Heritage Trust. I am here to inform you that you are currently trespassing on trust property. I reached into my briefcase. I didn't pull out a trash bag. I pulled out a crisp white legal folder. I slid it across the island. This is a 30-day formal eviction notice, I said, my voice steady, echoing off the kitchen tiles. But since you have actively conspired to defraud a senior citizen, my attorney has also filed for an emergency restraining order. You have exactly 1 hour to pack your belongings and vacate my home. Jessica turned pale. You can't do this. Mark is on the inheritance. We have rights. Let's do a quick recap of their 3 catastrophic mistakes. Mistake number 1, assuming my silence was ignorance. Mistake number 2, conspiring in a one-party consent state where audio recordings of crimes are fully admissible in court. Mistake number 3, trying to outsmart a woman who spent 3 decades operating heavy machinery. I know how to crush things. Mark lunged forward, slamming his hand on the counter. You are not doing this. You're sick. You're confused. I'm calling the police to have you evaluated right now. I looked at him and I smiled. I already called them, Mark. The doorbell rang. 2 police officers stood on the porch. I had requested a civil standby to ensure a peaceful move-out, providing them with the trust documents and the eviction notice beforehand. When the police entered, Mark tried to play the concerned son. He tried to tell them I was suffering from dementia. But Mr. Vance simply handed the officers a certified letter from an independent psychiatrist, dated just 3 days prior, proving I was of entirely sound mind and expert capacity. The officers turned to Mark. Sir, you need to gather your things. You are legally required to vacate. The breakdown was spectacular. Jessica started screaming at Mark, blaming him for ruining their lives. Mark stood in the center of the room, looking around at the house he thought he was going to flip, realizing he was walking away with absolutely nothing. They packed their designer clothes into those heavy-duty black trash bags because they didn't have enough suitcases. I watched my son carry his life out to the curb in the exact same bags he had handed to me that morning. Karma doesn't always come naturally. Sometimes you have to engineer it yourself. Today they are living in a cramped one-bedroom apartment across town. Mark is working retail logistics. Jessica had to sell her car. And because of the clause in my trust, they will never see a single penny of my multi-million-dollar estate. It is all going to a scholarship fund for blue-collar workers. I am living peacefully in the home I built. My rescue dog is doing wonderfully. If you are watching this and you feel the people around you circling like vultures, waiting for you to become weak, you must take action. Love without boundaries is just an invitation for abuse. That is why I am giving you the exact blueprint I use to protect my life. Here is your asset protection blueprint. Grab a pen and write this down. Step 1, the silent audit. Do not tell your family what you are doing. Gather your property deeds, your bank statements, your retirement accounts, and your life insurance policies. Put them in a secure physical location outside of your home, like a bank safe deposit box that only you have the key to. Step 2, revoke and restructure. If you have given any child or relative a power of attorney, revoke it immediately in writing. Destroy the old copies. Hire an independent estate planning attorney. Do not use the family lawyer. Step 3, establish the trust fortress. Ask your lawyer to draft a living trust. If you want absolute protection, discuss an irrevocable trust. Transfer the deed of your home directly into the name of the trust. This removes the property from your personal probate estate and shields it from relatives trying to manipulate you. Step 4, the ironclad clause. Insert a no contest clause and a capacity defense clause into your trust. This explicitly states that any beneficiary who challenges your mental capacity or tries to force a sale of your property is automatically disinherited. Step 5, the medical shield. Go to a certified geriatric psychiatrist and undergo a comprehensive capacity evaluation. Get a notarized letter stating that you are of sound mind and fully capable of managing your finances. Keep this letter with your trust documents. It is your ultimate shield against the manufactured incompetence trap. You spent your entire life building your legacy. Do not let arrogance and entitlement tear it down in 3 minutes. You are not a burden. You are not obsolete. You are the architect of your own life, and it is time you locked the gates. If you believe that respect is mandatory and that the truth always comes out, hit the subscribe button and leave a like on this video. Join our community of warriors who refuse to be erased. Don't wait until the trash bags are on your kitchen counter. Click the link in the description below to download my completely free Asset Protection Blueprint template. It includes the exact checklist of documents you need to take to your lawyer this week to lock down your estate. Protect your peace today.